On this episode of Man on the Run, we're heading to the great city of New Orleans. Lena's got a brother who lives there, and she's never been, and I need to revisit a little piece of my past. All right, so we've been up since about 4:30 this morning. We did 8x1K repeats, so it's been a long day. But it's been about 10 years since I've been back to New Orleans, maybe more. I was once a resident of the fine city. At that time, I was not as big of a runner or sober. So yeah, it's gonna be a really fun trip, I think, just to see the city through a new set of eyeballs. Oh yeah, and it's Lena's first time, so I'm kind of a guide.
What's up?
Gang leaders was arrested. He flew into.
All right, so signing off for the day, we made it to the hotel. It's called the Henrietta. It's quite beautiful, it's quite clean, and it's very cozy. We like that. So yeah, I'm tired. I'm getting some sleep. Bye. So typically here, one of the most popular running routes is right on the streetcar line. Here on the neutral ground, which is in between the two main one-way roads on a street called St. Charles Avenue. It's a really nice run. You can get all the way down from this Uptown area to the Central Business District, to the French Quarter using this road, all the way back up the other way, up to Audubon Park and the Tulane area. So, nice little shakeout run today. And Lena is seeing New Orleans for the first time. It's a nice, pleasant day. Pretty humid, but it feels good. All right. I was once told by a past mentor of mine that seeing a city on a bicycle is the best way to really get acquainted with your surroundings. Well, in New Orleans, we unfortunately did not have bikes, and frankly, it's just too damn hot and humid for a joyride, but we did have our running routine. So we went over to the French Quarter, often just referred to as the Quarter. This is the oldest neighborhood in New Orleans. It was founded in 1718. So if America was founded in 1776, I'll let you noodle on that for a second. This place has some miles on it, and it's on the National Historic Registry, and it damn sure feels that way. Yes, even Bourbon Street. So we did an out and back and headed back up the streetcar line into the Uptown district, taking it all in after the sunrise. I actually lived in this neighborhood for around 2 or 3 years, so it was nice to be back. Much needed 6 miles. We brought Lena to Jackson Square, did a loop, hit Bourbon Street, cruised the streetcar line. Now we're gonna go clean up and take a look at Magazine Street. Go get some breakfast, coffee, hang out. All right.
Show you their crane.
Let's wrap it up. So it reminds you of anything here?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to Heights in Houston, kind of the Woodland Heights and Yale Boulevard, with like an entire town just like that. And also weirdly, like when we were in the French Quarter, it reminds me of like Galveston back in its heyday before it got decimated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very. I mean, same kind of style, very like Victorian.
Like
homes.
old Galveston? The
Yeah.
downtown. I always thought that there was a
Washington
distinct feel to this place. I can't really describe it, but it did feel distinct. Very green and lush and humid. It's just got a vibe. People like to open the door here. It's like opening the door for other folks is a sign that you're in Louisiana.
We also like accidentally.
So I took Lena over to La Boulangerie, its namesake meaning in the manner of a baker's wife. I knew she would love this joint. Just like all the New Orleans food, they take it seriously here. Beautiful flaky croissants and quiches, perfectly pulled espresso drinks, highly recommended. So we just had a nice little bite to eat, and we're gonna walk over to Freret Street. At one point in time, I was approached to be one of the first employees, if not the first employee, I think. It was me and another gal over at a place called Dat Dog, and it was on a little shed in Freret Street. Since then, it's grown pretty big, but I learned pretty much everything I needed to know about the restaurant industry at that Dat Dog location. Ended up starting my own hot dog restaurant in my hometown of Lake Charles. So it was a cool little slice of life history that I'll show to my wife, and we're gonna make the 1 mile trek over there. Nice, beautiful Friday afternoon here in New Orleans. The same guy who gave me the bicycle advice and seeing a city, well, that was the same person who showed me the way of the hot dogger's life. I call it the novelty life. That building was not there to the right of it. That was a patio. It was a little shotgun with a bathroom in the back. That was it. And although I have since moved away from the restaurant industry, it is something that I will take with me forever. And don't forget to download the RTA app called Les Pass. It's a streetcar app, it's cheap, it's fun, it's efficient. Lena's first time on the streetcar. How are you feeling about it?
Pretty pumped. It appears that there's not going to be any air conditioning, but there also are no windows. So.
On the historic streetcar, there is no AC. The seats are made out of wood. Oh, did you bring your Guy Fieri shirt?
I did. I brought. It's not Guy Fieri.
I can't wait till y'all see this thing. It's my favorite piece of clothing I've ever seen. Just wait. When I think about New Orleans, I think about the streetcar. In fact, it's the oldest operating street railway system in the world. First introduced in 1835 as a steam locomotive, they were transitioned to electric operation in 1893. There are 5 lines, but I find the St. Charles line to be especially useful. Of course, they've got historic landmark status like most of the city. $3 will get you 24 hours of use, and yes, you can use the same pass for 24 hours even if it's on a separate calendar day. So on this trip, I made sure to hit my favorite lunch spot of all time, Cochon Butcher. Pork belly, boudin, duck sliders. some of the finest tasting lunch fare and sandwiches you will ever eat, in my opinion, but it is also cuisine from the land of my people, the Cajuns. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about my guide skills. We had a couple great meals so far, did some great sightseeing, and then we went for a walk to shake things off a little bit up through the central business district, back uptown. We stopped at a place called Freret. She said it was really great, and apparently the thrifting in New Orleans is really high quality. We needed a mid-afternoon coffee, so we popped into a spot called High Volt. Highly recommended. Great pulls of espresso, great drinks, great atmosphere. And then we went for a short drive around the city in Ian's truck.
Isn't that like a 40-minute drive?
And then all of a sudden it was time for dinner. So we snagged a last-minute reservation at a place called Coquette on Magazine Street. They were fully booked downstairs, but we got some seats on the second floor. And the food was stellar. We got some oysters with this really wild lavender spray that I was really intrigued with. It was a nice entertainment point for the meal.
With some of that spray. Yeah.
Moving on to the main course, I got a Gulf seafood stew with shrimp, flounder, crab meat, and rice fritter, and a seafood coubillon. And as a nightcap, we went to a place called Sucre for some gelato. I actually used to work here. I was pushing gelato and pulling espressos before I got my job at the hot dog restaurant.
Yeah, thank you so much.
A beautiful first full day in New Orleans. Ouch. Day 2, same route, different segment. This time, Lena and I head in the opposite direction on the St. Charles streetcar line, headed towards the Tulane and Loyola College area. This is the way to Audubon Park. The park is roughly a mile or so of beautifully paved and scenic terrain right across from the colleges. The route will take you around the Audubon Golf Club, and this is where you're going to find a few runners and cyclists out on their weekend routine. There is also an adjacent loop that wraps around the Audubon Zoo, but we didn't make time for wildlife viewing on this trip. We did, however, run by the Tree of Life. It is one of the many spectacular drooping oaks in the city. And after the Audubon Park segment, we decided to zigzag around the neighborhoods for some shotgun house sightseeing. Then we headed back down Magazine Street towards the hotel to finish off our 10-mile run. Why the hell didn't I explore this city more when I lived here? I am now realizing all the things I missed. Luckily, there's no time like the present.
All right, we did it. About 10 miles, 60 to 90 minutes easy was on the plan. And this humidity, though, is never easy. Ay, ay, ay. We're building for the Detroit Marathon. We're building mileage and volume each week. Having a good time doing it here in New Orleans. And have a nice little day, see what we can get into. We got some scones from the fresh market. We're tired. We're snapping at each other.
I didn't snap at you.
Did I snap at you?
You kinda.
What happened?
Yeah, we were running on a path that I was wildly unfamiliar with, and I asked if we were doing the full loop. And you looked at me like I was a moron.
And basically
And you
I
were like,
said, that's like
"Oh."
eating a hamburger and asking if we want to eat a hamburger. That was a rude thing for me to say.
Okay, that gave you the silent treatment for like a really long time after that, though.
Scones are dense.
I love scones.
Now, I can't give myself too much shit for not exploring the city more when I lived here. I am under the impression that a man in his 20s is like a pinball in a pinball machine just trying to figure it all out and get another high score. Well, in stark contrast to my buffoonery, this guy, Lena's brother, seems to have it all figured out. Calm, collected, and a man of many fine tools and organization skills that rivals the best in the land. He seems to be doing the city justice, works hard, and enjoys what New Orleans has to offer, including great po' boys. So we decided to head to Domilise's right down the road from his house. It's so unassuming you might just walk right past it, but when you go in, the magic happens. We got fried shrimp po' boys all around. Let the good times roll. Classic nostalgia in handheld form. Nothing better than a great shrimp po' boy.
So good. Thank you. It's delicious.
So as I tried to figure out the best storyline for our last day, and maybe the entire trip here, I just had a few thoughts on how to, kind of wrap everything up and make it interesting and really put together a story. The story typically comes out in the edits, I find, which is fun. But this one I had a predetermined story, and it means a lot to me. And I wanted to share it with everybody. We've dropped a few hints here and there, but my wife, Lena, she's got this shirt, and it's amazing. And I thought that the entire video climax needs to be about this damn shirt. Y'all need to see it. It needs to be out there into the world. The first time she wore this shirt, you have to understand, it was a pivotal moment. It was one of the greatest moments in our relationship, is that she just comes casually out into the kitchen with it. And I proceeded to roast her for about 30 minutes on this thing because I love it so much. She didn't understand why I was roasting it. It's because I love it. I asked her if we were going to go eat some trash can nachos or go to a Guy Fieri restaurant. So to finish out the culinary journey in Nola, we hit up Miss Shirley's for some Chinese food. This spot was voted Southern Living's best restaurant in New Orleans for 2024, and it will not disappoint. Family style, we ordered short rib, soup dumplings, orange ginger chicken, and some crab meat udon. Get here early because it gets busy, and be prepared to wait 30 minutes or more for a table. And as a bonus, you'll even get your beignet fix to finish without having to head over to Cafe Du Monde. This trip was actually more therapeutic than I imagined. As I mentioned before, I don't need to give myself a hard time for not drinking up every drop of my surroundings in the days of my early 20s when I resided here. Yes, now I abstain from drugs and alcohol, but no, I don't need to be scared of revisiting a beautiful piece of my past. I was afraid it would trigger some discomforting emotions, but every time I step through that door, I am graciously surprised at how welcoming the task is. There were friends that I love here, that I wish I had kept up with. There are things that I'm proud of and things that I am glad that I learned from. I learned so much from this place.
Insanely big.
1861. There is simply too much to see and re-see through a different paradigm. There is always something to learn, and I was yet again humbled by a displacement in my day-to-day surroundings. This time, by an area I thought I knew so much about, but acutely aware of how little I knew at the same time. This won't be the last time we return. This was yet another first in the continuum of the journey as we discover what it's like to be on the run. Where are we running to? Hell, I don't know, but life is a journey, and I am down for the ride. Looking forward to the next one, and I hope you got a thing or two from this. As always, it is a privilege to be able to have the opportunity to share a few stories with you. Wishing you well on your endeavors, and I hope you have a beautiful day.